Hello, 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 and welcome to the altWork podcast, where we explore the new frontiers of work and challenge everything you thought you knew about career, business, and work. I am Victoria Rillas, and with me is my co-host, Sakib Rasul. Hi, Sakib.
Hello, hello.
Our today's topic, reimagining work, what it takes to flourish in this new dynamic era. So let's dive right in. First of all, what do we mean by reimagining work? Why do we have to reimagine our work? Do you want to start us off, Saki?
Okay, all right. Great question right off bat. So why reimagine work? Or why altWork? First of all, Victoria, I think there is a great deal of disempowerment and a lack of satisfaction happening among the workers at all levels of enterprises, and almost really all across at least the westernized worlds. I'm sure you've heard the statistics. According to Gallup, 79% of the people are disengaged at work. Or people say things like 90% of the startups fail. Now, people say that and act as if it's a normal thing. Like when in the early 19th century, before the invention of vaccines, people might say, oh, 50% of the cows die or 40% of the infants die on birth, and assume that it was like a normal thing. So it's not a normal thing. It's a resignation of a kind. So on one hand, we have all this mess happening in work where we are failing to generate results. And on the other hand, there is this widespread resignation about what's going on. And today, the failure rate in our enterprises of all sizes is taken to be, that's just, what happens in the course of work, about which there is nothing much could be done. And then the key job of a leader is to bury the dead cows, or to keep firing the bottom lazy 20% of employees, or some formula like that. But these brute force solutions, they don't work, and they will continue to fail. They have never worked before. They will continue to fail. And all of this is leading to lots of failed ambitions at personal level, at enterprise levels. At a personal level, people are increasingly becoming dissatisfied with their work, don't know how to take effective action for shaping their careers. To be quite frank, we have a kind of a clusterfuck of a situation. People don't find meaning in their work today. And this lack of meaning is creating what we call the lack of belonging. And a lot of the old pundits that want to fix the cultures or do this motivational psychology, and they do all kinds of ways to trick people into working harder, they're not working. People don't want to be tricked. So I would say we need to reimagine our work, so our work is not a source of misery for us, but a source of joy and empowerment for us.
Wow. Very well said. So that's why reimagine work, because people are dissatisfied, and it's, old ways of working aren't working anymore. Okay, got it. You talked a little bit about some of the breakdowns that are happening, like, people not having meaning anymore in the work, being dissatisfied. Why do you think there's so much waste in our enterprises? Like, why are people dissatisfied at work? What's going on?
That's an interesting question. For many years, I've pondered about that. I think there's a really big challenge happening in parallel that's more hidden, which is that the way and the style, the methods, the tools, the whole apparatus and machinery of work that we use to manage our enterprises or launch new startups or design our career paths, get promotions, all these methodologies, strategies, they were invented for a different era that, and they were not invented for these dynamic times. They were invented for the industrial era, for running factories and operating manufacturing businesses, where we use the logic of value production by calculating inputs and outputs. And if your output is greater than your input, then you have a profitable business. And that logic of running business, that particular logic of running business, it worked for a while. I mean, it gave us this tremendous age in which we are living, this industrialized age in which we are. But the nature of work is changing. The nature of value production is changing. The value today is no longer just about taking the raw products and taking them through a process and turning them into finished products. The job isn't that how do we get the physical product manufacturers and get it up on shelves as fast as we can. And even in industries where that is happening, it still matters how people create alliances and serve their customers and listen to their customers' needs. A lot of value production today, even in the manufacturing industry, which is only about, I think, 13%, if I remember correctly, of the total value production right now. Even in those places, how do you treat your customers? How do you serve? How do you provide service after the sale? That matters more than the value extracted, squeezed by the manufacturing process. So essentially, I think, Victoria, we have been working with machineries for so long that we have forgotten how to work with each other. We have forgotten at the core how to have conversations in which we build futures. That is, how do we make offers? How do we make requests? How do we mobilize action? How do we deal with the breakdowns that are inevitable, that are going to happen? Oftentimes, tiny little breakdown happens in teams, and people build up resentments and bad moods. And then for the rest of their working period, operate out of that mood. And that creates enormous amounts of enormous amounts of waste that goes unnoticed. And I think is this capacity that we human beings have had before to converse with each other, to talk to each other, and do a kind of conversation in which we build futures. We need to reclaim this as our birthright and learn to dance with each other in conversations so that we can build futures and not simply continue to work as automatic robots, checking off the task lists and so on.
You said a line that I think is so beautiful. You said, we've been working with machines for so long that we have forgotten how to work with each other. And it's interesting. And you talking about, learning to be dynamic and to move and to dance together. To deal with like some of the current breakdowns are happening, these old frameworks are not really helping us to deal with some of these major shifts are happening in the world right now. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those major shifts? In my mind, I have mostly, for example, the emergence of ChatGPT and how that's changing the dynamic of work completely, and how that's kind of creating a trust issue with some people. And then also there's so many layoffs happening, and I think that's creating a huge breakdown of career for a lot of people as well. So all of these these and much more breakdowns. Do you want to talk a little bit about them?
No, I think you're in the right direction with where you're going. I would say there are probably several forces. Some we can see right this moment, some we cannot see. One of the forces we can see is there's a huge technological emergence that's happening right now. And this is not the first time we have had a technological emergence like this. There have been many periods in history where we have had enormous technological emergence. And whenever new technology is introduced, the skills and the sensibilities and what's doable, what's not doable, it all shifts.
Yeah.
Now, we as human beings, we resist change. We don't want to learn new skills and new tools and new methods. Rather, we stick with what we know. So
Yes.
we build up this kind of Luddite mood in which we don't want to embrace the new wave that's rising. And these stuck moods that feel resentful about maybe losing a job or changing the nature of the work that was, especially if you were comfortable before and you're not now comfortable, that's going to impact the mood. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, number of invisible forces, that the rate of breakdown and chaos, it's just increasing. COVID did the job. The pandemic really turned everything upside down. But it wasn't just that. There are a number of other chaoses, breakdowns. The climate change is having an impact on so many things that are not yet visible to us, but the water is drying up. There is a water shortage. There is a weather patterns shifting. A lot of the old ways of being are not working. Soon enough, I think we're going to see more migration that we have ever seen before. There's already a good deal of migration happening across the world. So a lot of these perturbances, they are upsetting the apple cart, the proverbial apple cart, the skills and sensibilities that we had for the last 5,000 years, that we had built in the form of our institutions of religion, institution of family, institution of therapies and marriage, and institutions that impact us personally and at a work level, the institutions of governments. A lot of those structures are failing, and they're really failing to take care of people's moods. I mean, it kind of is a disaster if you think about it, that on one end, the technological emergence is growing. On the other end, we are laying off hundreds of thousands of really well-qualified technological workers. So then I think the third invisible force, and you have to tell me about this, the more younger generations there's something changing about the mood. People, more and more people in the younger generations, maybe started with my generation, with Gen X, and maybe I think you are Gen Z?
Yeah.
Gen Z and millennials and Gen Z and all generations after, they are refusing to do the work without having meaning with that work. The young people are no longer ascribing to the old nationalistic theories and old that work hard and do your 9 to 5 and save your accounts. And they're watching their parents' savings and 401ks disappear. So there is something changing about the moods of people, and people are demanding having more meaning in their work that they have never had before.
For sure, yeah. I'm right at like in between Gen Z and millennial. But I've noticed with myself and with my friends as well, I think because in a way we're very privileged in that we have so many options, and our world is so dynamic now with, work being online if you want to, that we're not really confined to like, like the local major companies in our community. We can literally work wherever we want. So I think it's important for us to kind of, enjoy the work that we're doing. And if it doesn't work, then we don't have like that like loyalty that I see a lot with older people. It's like, I can commit, but I'm only going to commit if I really want to do that work. And if it doesn't work for me anymore, I'll negotiate, but eventually I know that there's going to be other options for me. So maybe that's part of why.
I think so. I think that also take a look at, see how there has been some demand for respect. There has been some democratization of respect that in the older generations, there was an ethos that, just suck it up and just do the thing that you need to do. The young generation is saying, no, I'm not going to suck it up. If there are discriminations, if there are genderism, if there is racism, the younger generations are more demanding that their work does not have to be source of misery for them.
Yeah.
And if it
because
is
it doesn't have to.
Well, you're saying it doesn't have to, and the last 100 years, 200 years, people have lived with it. People have lived with indignity of their work, and now people are saying, I am not gonna suffer the indignity. But the point of concern is that even when there is an emotion that I want more dignity, I want more power in work, there is a serious missing and lack of skills and sensibilities on how to create power and how to create dignity and how to fight for, instead of just saying I don't want to play anymore and exiting the field. How do you fight for a better future? A lot of those skills that we take for granted, or we have taken for granted before, they are not just emotional and psychological things. They are a matter of being able to do something, like being able to take action in conversations. I think a lot of those skills are missing.
I want to ask you a question, kind of going back to some of the major shifts that are happening, like ChatGPT. I'm very interested in this conversation because I remember when ChatGPT first started, you said something to me that kind of framed the way I looked at it. And you said, if you're not a little bit scared of ChatGPT, then you're not taking it seriously. Like you're not aware of how big of a shift this is. So I want you to talk a little bit about what you meant when you said that if you're not a little bit scared of it, you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Victoria. What I meant by that, look, for the last 100 years, 200 years, at least the last 100 years since the invention of computers, lot of human beings, our jobs have been about getting information, researching information, organizing information, compiling information, and reporting information. People have stopped thinking. Not everyone, but a good deal of people have stopped thinking and let go their capacity to think long time ago. Ask any question, all you got to do is research it, organize the information, stitch it together, put it in nice language or visuals, and present it. Well, ChatGPT can do that now. All past data, all research, it can organize really well. So if you are not thinking about how your career is shifting and what human beings are demanding and looking for, and how you might bring some service that helps someone in the role of a human, and you're insisting that your job, your computerized way of being is what you're going to operate with, then watch out. That ChatGPT is likely to replace your job. But what ChatGPT cannot do is to think. And thinking is not just researching information. Thinking doesn't just have to do with the past. Thinking has to do with your concern about the future. And thinking is not predicting. Thinking is about having deep concern and deep care about the future that leads to new insight, that leads to new invention, new innovation, and new insights. New offers indeed. And before you make a new offer, you need a new insight. You need a new flash of genius that Greeks called fulgor. You need a new insight in your work and deliver something that only human being can do as a human capacity. So we have stopped thinking about our work in this way. How many people really concern themselves on daily basis that, hey, I have confronted a hard problem. I think I'm going to search for creative solution. I'm going to create some new innovation. No, most of the time we want to just research it out and get the information from the past. So we keep on building the same thing that's happening in the past. We keep on building the same thing happening in the future. Now, if you think that is going to be the job, these AI tools, and ChatGPT is probably the first one or the second one we have seen. I think soon there is going to be a whole flurry of tools coming out, and that can automate a lot of these jobs of information researching, information gathering, information reporting. So it's an excellent time for human beings to think that what is thinking and how might we do thinking. What is that, Victoria? The philosopher Heidegger, Martin Heidegger comes to mind. There's a famous quote by Heidegger. He said, the most thought-provoking thing. What is that? Do you remember?
The most thought-provoking thing of our thought-provoking time is that we are still not thinking.
Yes, most thought-provoking thing about our thought-provoking times is that we are still not thinking.
Yeah.
I think it will behoove us to pay attention to what Heidegger was pointing at.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, now, so if, with the emergence of ChatGPT and other major shifts happening, what skills are necessary? Like, what new skills might we need to learn now that we'd never thought before that would be helpful for this new dynamic era? And also, I didn't really say too much about this, but there's a lot of people being laid off right now, and even some of our own customers are dealing with this, and we're helping them throughout the process. But some people that might be listening to us right now, are getting laid off and don't know how to think about, their career when there's so much chaos going on. So also maybe saying something towards that.
Right. So I think, as far as the practical skills are concerned, let's just, since we are on the ChatGPT topic, the practical skill of searching or researching, it's already changing. And there's a new practical skill that's coming. We can call it prompting, right? In the future, the skill of searching will give way to the skill of prompting. And in each domain, there are new marginal practices. There are new practices that are rising. The old practices are receding. But these are the ontical skills, meaning these are everyday skills that you need to do. But you need some kind of like a skill about skills. You need some kind of a meta skill to gain the ability to pay attention to what's rising. Right? Why we don't pay attention to what's rising, what skill we are missing. We miss the skill of becoming a new beginner. We become knowledgeable fools. We have knowledge, we have done this, we have experience, we have background. And all of our background, all of our experience, all of our knowledge, it traps us into the past. With a great deal of confidence, we continue to be blind till we all the way arrive at the edge of the precipice and jump right off of it. So the first skill, I think the meta skill or the skill about skill that we need is the skill of learning to learn, which is really about listening, which is really about pausing your biases, your stories, your truths, things that you have held as cherished convictions. It's time to put them on, not to let them go, but pause for a moment to see some new cherished truths or see another view. So we need some skill about that. We need some skill to be able to listen to many kind of biases that are not matching our own bias. That I would say is the first skill we would need. The second skill, since you mentioned the many of our clients have lost jobs, and Meta is about to do another 10,000 people in a couple of weeks.
And I heard, I think Amazon just
Oh,
this
really?
morning, I think, yeah.
I have not, I didn't hear that, but it doesn't surprise me
Yeah.
to hear that. So the skill that we need there is a skill of reinventing yourself as a new offer. We keep our schools and colleges and degrees and the first 2 or 3 jobs we got, we let them invent us. And for the rest of our life, we insist that how we got invented by the school, by the college, by the first set of choices we made, or and that's it. That's who we're going to be. And we look for work in that particular style, in that particular title.
That identity.
That identity.
Yeah.
If you are a, say you're a product manager and you got laid off, and it's more likely that you're going to insist that I look for a product manager job. But if you're a software design engineer, then you're going to look for software design engineer job under that title. Now, the actual work may be the same or maybe changing. If the actual work is the same, maybe you can look for the same titles in the same jobs. But if the nature of the work is shifted, some of the work is replaced with AI, and that means that new kind of work is taking place. The new work takes place. It doesn't just suddenly become a well-organized job right away. Even enterprises struggle with characterizing what the work is. So if you want to reinvent yourself as an offer, then you must take a very careful look to see what new dissatisfactions that are now rising their head that were never there before. Let me give you an example. Now, everyone has this phone or smartphone today. I'll call it smart. I have iPhone, and some people have Androids and other Samsungs and so on and so forth. Now, in some moment when first time iPhone was invented, right at the moment when iPhone was invented, there was no teenager that had been dissatisfied that they don't have an iPhone. After iPhone was invented, a new dissatisfaction was created that I don't have an iPhone, or now I don't have a smartphone. So every time there is a big technological emergence, there's a big disturbance in the structure of concerns, there are new satisfactions, and not having those satisfactions create new dissatisfactions. So I would say the second skill comes to mind is learning to reinvent your offer, and learning to really reinvent yourself as an offer. And your identity is really who you are as an offer in the marketplace. Learning to reinvent that by listening to the new breakdowns and new dissatisfactions that are rising, and having the emotional fortitude, having the capacity to making several offers. You might have to make offer after offer to your customers before something works. So I think that skill, especially those that are losing their jobs, is to throw away the old titles and what you were so sure about, and begin to have coffee with people in which you ask them that what are they concerned about? What are they worried about? What are your potential customers are losing their sleep over? Listen carefully and then make an offer. Then say something like, hey, I know that you have lots of maybe building new AI apps is the career that I know that you're thinking about integrating your processes with ChatGPT. I can help you do that. This is different from, hey, are you looking for a product manager? I can be a product manager. Relying on old titles is a bit like using, old coins. You're maybe too young to ever have seen that. But when we were young, there were sometimes you come across coins that have been in circulation for so long that their faces rub off. There is no face. There is no face on either side. So trying to use the old job titles is like using those coins that their faces have rubbed off. And this is where I think that our mission of, altWork that is change work. It's like a movement and community, and this new theory that we are presenting, that is time to change work. The skills for listening, the skills for making offers, the skills for listening, particularly to people that you wouldn't otherwise listen. Listening to allies as well as listening to enemies. It's becoming far more important skill than it has ever been. And then learning to make offers, and then learning to mobilize your offers, learning to take action and make an assessment and ground your assessments in concern and care about the future. These are dynamic skills that in the past, if you just go to your factory and there's a clear job and there is 9 to 5, you don't need any of those skills. But maybe that way of working was never really a good way of working. Maybe that was limiting us. So I see the current opportunity to not only alt your work, but as an opportunity to go beyond that you may have ever gone before in your work.
But yes, but it's definitely easier said than done, I think. Seeing the possibility in the middle of the change and the breakdown, when in the moment, right, when someone gets laid off, is just sudden moods of like desperation and maybe resignation and hopelessness of, okay, what now? What do I do? So you said a little bit about developing emotional fortitude. Can you say more about what you mean by that? What is emotional fortitude?
Yeah, I mean, first time I heard this word from Fernando Flores. He talks about emotional fortitude, and there are other people that are beginning to talk about it. I think that emotional fortitude has to do with, first of all, not being swayed so easily, to developing some kind of a even mood, not too excited or not too disappointed. That doesn't help us. It's to developing an even mood, a balanced approach, that no matter whatever is opening up, whatever new opportunity, whatever new chaos, new breakdown, having the emotional strength not to freak out, not to go, with your hair on fire, going like, we're gonna die, or I don't know what's going on. A lot of people these days are declaring their ignorance as if the declaration of ignorance is the badge of honor that they wear. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's gonna happen. No one really knows what's gonna happen. But you can look at what's happening and make an assessment. You can have an opinion. And being able to have an opinion that might open a new possibility, I would say that's emotional fortitude. Flores says that emotional fortitude is having confidence in your skill, and having confidence in your ability to learn, that no matter what is going on, I can learn. And then having confidence in your ability to make the offer, that you're well prepared, you can learn what's going on, and then you can make a new offer in the marketplace.
He says number one, I think if I remember correctly, number one, the first part is that confidence that everything is changing all the time, and with change comes possibility. Confidence in that, so that nothing is going to stay as it is right now. This emotion that this feeling that you have right now, this situation, it will change. Eventually it will change, and with that change there will be some possibility. And then confidence in yourself to be able to see that possibility and to make an offer and to
really well said. That's right. It's change always disturbs the status quo. And you can count on it, like you said, that when there is a disturbance in the status quo, there will be new dissatisfactions. And as long as somebody's dissatisfied, and I often say, casually, that thank heavens that we are the kind of animals that are constantly dissatisfied.
Yeah.
If we were not the kind of animals that are constantly dissatisfied, no business, no commerce will
Yeah,
happen.
true.
All action moves in human worlds because we are a dissatisfiable kind of animals.
Mm.
So change brings with it dissatisfaction. Therefore, change brings with it new possibility. So yes, exactly what you said, a confidence that no matter how stuck things might seem right now, this shall too change. And then preparing to, but what are you preparing with? Go back to like, are you preparing your resume? Or are you taking the same old certifications and tests that you once took? No, I think preparing a balanced mind, preparing, especially if you've lost a job, is very important, that you don't fall to irregularity of your schedule and you don't fall to chaos, that you do workout and meditation and diet and basic things, that you keep balanced, so you have a balanced mind to take a look and see that what new opportunity that is now opening that was never available before.
I am thinking now that people might like say that this is very entrepreneurial way of thinking. This is very like startup-y way of thinking.
Maybe, yeah, this is maybe this
But this also applies to people who work in big
totally,
enterprises, right? Yeah.
totally. Let's investigate a little bit in the direction that you just went, that this is entrepreneurial thinking, and I don't like entrepreneurial thinking. We have gotten addicted to this industrial era stability that the industrial era promised us in the beginning, right? The promise of modernity was that everybody will have clear job title, everybody will live in a small family unit, everybody will have a proper amount of food and a little box to live in, and so on and so forth. So the modern era, the industrial era, it promised us a certain utopia, a certain a certain kind of a heaven that has not arrived. That things are not as stable as we once imagined. So maybe this false stability, that I don't need to concern with anything else, all I need to do is to learn this, get this degree or learn this certification, and I will be taken care. Maybe that is being disturbed. And maybe in another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we'll have a new stability. It'll be the era of AI. But looking at technology, I have a feeling that for the perceivable future, every 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a brand new game. And people that are going to succeed are the ones that have learned the skill of how to learn, that have gotten some mastery over their moods and moods of other people, and that can make new offers as the time change. I believe that those people are going to survive. Rest will suffer and struggle for a while. But that's why we are launching, that's your first question, why altWork podcast, and we have built this community. Will in a moment, I think you have something to share. Why don't you actually go ahead and share that, or you have some other questions?
No, I think your last comment about these are the skills that I think people will need to learn in order to kind of thrive, not just survive in this new dynamic world, is completely true. And talking about why we even started altWork, we have a private community on School, where if you like what we're saying here on the podcast and you want to ask questions or bring your breakdowns or concerns, you can join our private community. I'll probably link a link to join maybe in the comment section, or we'll figure out something. So if you're interested and want to kind of dance with us a little bit closer, then you can join the private community.
And we promise to be live with, this was our first episode of the altWork podcast. today we were a little bit more broad and general, and we wanted to set the foundations for the work you and I want to do.
Yes.
Is to help people, begin to help people with specific challenges and issues rising in looking for new jobs and looking for funding. If you have a startup or start launching a new business, new idea, or if you're already in an enterprise, how do you go for promotions? And a lot of the old strategies are not working. So we commit to be going live roughly once a week. We will see what we can do, but we have the ambition to go live with our podcast once a week. You can tune in here on LinkedIn, and we will also put it on other channels like YouTube and so on and so forth. And also, as Victoria mentioned, we have a private community where if you are dealing with a serious challenge in your work, you're up against a breakdown or an invisible roadblock, and a lot of the other things you have tried are not working, we invite you to come join us. We are inventing a new approach. We are introducing a new approach to working that we're calling altWork. So join us in the community. We will also go live once a month on Zoom with all the participants. So if you want to come and interact and receive some coaching about what you're dealing with, we will be live online, and you can find all these links in the comment section.
Yep. Okay, I think that's it.
That's about it
now. Thank you for joining us for our very first episode of altWork. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we did and found what we had to say here helpful. Stay tuned for our next episode at the same time and at the same place here in LinkedIn. And we'll see you then.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. And thank you everybody for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.